What's happening, good people? Welcome to the channel. I'm Wes, aka Mr. Budget Watch, and today we're going to be reviewing this Citizen field watch. Now this was kindly provided to the channel by Troy at the Bold Watch Collector. You can check out his channel down in the description, so definitely check his channel out and subscribe if you don't already. He's a really cool guy, does some great videos. So yeah, he was kind enough to let me borrow one of his watches, and I sent one of mine to him. So you can definitely check that out as well. So yeah, let's, well actually before we dive into that wristwatch check, and I'm actually still enjoying this little Alpha Explorer homage. You can also see the content of this on my channel. Before we get into this, let's roll the intro. Right guys, so here we have the Citizen watch, and this is, for reference, is the BM8471-19L. Citizen, I don't know, not very creative names, let's just say. So this watch is a 42mm diameter, so from like point to point, and it is a little bit more with the crown. It's 10.6mm thick. It has a 22mm lug width, which is really nice. The lug to lug is 48.4, so not massive, but not really compact either. So we have a mineral crystal protecting the dial. We have 100 meters of water resistance, a sand blasted stainless steel case, a push-pull crown, and a screw-down case back, which I will show you later on. So now let's talk design, and I absolutely love this watch. I like these very subtly textured dial. It's like really fine sandpaper, the look of it. It's really fine. And I also love just how bold and bright those numerals are. You can just see we've got really big ones at the 12, 3, 6 and 9. And then smaller ones everywhere else. We've also got a printed minute track as well, which again is white and really contrasts nicely and creates a very legible dial. Then at the 3 o'clock you can see we have a day-date complication. Under the 12 o'clock we have Citizen, and then above the 6 we have Eco Drive. So this is an Eco Drive quartz movement, but more on that later on. So yeah, very nice looking dial, and let's see if the hand hits its markers. And you know what? It's hitting just about bang on. So good job, Citizen. So if you've got a little bit of OCD with that, then this one hits its markers pretty much spot on. So very nice. So yes, definitely a big fan of this dial. Really clean, really legible. And I like the colour as well. I love the blue and white. Obviously you can see I do like blue, and this is a very nice shade of blue. So taking a look at that crystal, and it is just a mineral and it is flat. You can just see it ever so slightly protrudes above the bezel. But yeah, it's not boxed, it's not domed, it's just a flat mineral. Then we get onto the bezel, and you can see it's just got a little bit of a edge to it, and it is sandblasted. One of my favorite finishes, and it just looks so perfect on a field watch. It's definitely like one of the best finishes on a field watch in my opinion. It just really adds to the sort of rugged look of them. So definitely a good job on the finishing department. The case profile, you know, it's a little bit slab-sided. We've just got a little bit of a groove there just to break it up a little bit. But other than that, it's a little bit slab-sided. I do like how the lugs are integrated, and they do slope down quite a lot, meaning that 48.4 actually does wear a little bit smaller, but more on that in a little bit. Taking a look at this side, we have an unguarded crown, and it is a very nearly beastly looking crown. You can just see the like individual nails on it, and it is really nice to grip. It is a little bit free moving though. You can just see how easy it is to turn. Luckily it doesn't actually adjust anything, which is pretty handy. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. It is sandblasted as well. Very nice. Unsigned though, which, you know, Seiko and Citizen don't really do that much. So yeah, very nice, really solid feeling construction. It's quite a lightweight watch. At first I actually thought it was titanium, it's that light, but it is actually stainless steel. But yeah, it's a very light watch body. So let's talk about this strap. So this is the supplied strap that it comes on, and it is a brown leather with brown leather stitching. And you know what, the stitching is relatively uniform. There is a couple that are just a little bit skew-if, but yeah, overall it looks pretty nice and neat. The adjustment holes are really cleanly cut, and there are plenty of them as well. I also like this little taper at the end as well. It's not like a really elegant taper, but it definitely does give the strap a little bit of character. Flipping it over to the inside, you can see it is genuine leather. Then we've got that nice stitching. Very, very nice. Onto this side, and again, you know, it's similar story. A couple of stitching is just a little bit skew-if. We've got one fixed leather keeper and one floating leather keeper. And then we get to that sand blasted buckle. Very, very nice that it's matching. My only concern is the tang. It's a little bit thin, in my opinion. I think they could have done with putting something a little bit more chunky, just to suit the style of the watch. I think it's just a little bit too thin. As for the leather quality, it's okay. I mean, it's not just Citizen. Orient are the same. Seiko are the same. Watches at this price, they do really tend to skimp on the straps and bracelets. So it's not common for Citizen, and it's nothing against the watch. It's actually the companies themselves that really skimp on the leather. And you know, it's the same story here. It's not the nicest feeling leather. I mean, I've had AliExpress leather straps that were probably cheaper than this one, and you know, they're much better quality. A little bit of a shame actually that, you know, they skimp so much on leather, because, you know, it's important, because this is what like makes contact with your wrist. So having something that's not that good is a little bit of a downer. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice looking strap. I love the colour of it. It looks a smidge more red on camera than it actually does in person. So yeah, I think that's just my camera. It does tend to pick up red a little bit more and exaggerate red, but yeah, it's actually a little bit more brown and less red in person. So that's just something to note. Oh, before we actually do that, let's take a look at the case back. And there we go. So you can see we have my favourite finish, high polish. Yay! It is screwed down though, which is very, very nice. And it's got some nice etch work. You can see Citizen Eco Drive with the Globe logo, and then some etching around the edge with just your specifications, model number, etc, etc. Very, very nicely done. I just wish they'd have sandblasted it though, because I really don't like high polish. But you know, that's just a personal preference. So now what I'm going to do is get this on wrist and show you what it wears like. Right guys, so here it is on my slim 6-inch wrist, and the 42 diameter and 48.4 lug to lug just about fits on my wrist. So I'd say this one is probably for you guys out there with around a 6.5, 7-inch wrist. I think it would definitely fit you guys a little bit better. Can see, you know, the lugs are right at the very end of my wrist, and this is about the biggest watch I can, you know, accommodate on my slim wrist. So yeah, definitely one for you guys with thicker wrists than 6 inches. So if you've got smaller wrists than 6 inches, then this one is probably not going to be for you. I think it probably will be a little bit on the big side. Even if you swap out the strap to something else, because of the lug to lug length and the diameter, this is definitely one you know, that needs a little bit bigger wrist to accommodate it perfectly. Like I said, we've got no lug overhang, which is really nice aesthetically and for comfort as well, which we're going to get to now. So taking a look at the strap, you can see, you know, the lugs bring it down nicely because of, you know, the curvature. Brings the strap down pretty nicely, which is good, but the strap is just something that lets it down a little bit. I definitely recommend swapping this out for even a third-party leather strap, or maybe even a single pass or in NATO. I think it would not only look better, but I think it would be more comfortable, because this strap is a little bit rigid feeling. I mean, I know Troy has wore it before I have. I've wore it for, you know, over a week, and it still feels a little bit stiff and a little bit rigid. So you can tell it's not great quality leather, because leather breaks in, it softens, it gets more supple. But this one, it hasn't broken in, it hasn't gone supple, it hasn't gone soft. So yeah, it's a little bit rigid, and you know, it's just not that comfortable on wrist, unfortunately. The watch head itself on a different strap, different story, way more comfortable. Just on this strap that it comes with, is a no-go. So definitely I'd recommend swapping out that strap. So let's take a look at the buckle. You can see I'm on the last adjustment hole. So yeah, again, this one's not going to fit you guys with slimmer wrists, but you can see we've got plenty of adjustment left over for you guys with thicker wrists. So if you do like this strap, then it will fit you guys with thicker wrists, but not with thinner. So yeah, it's a very, very lightweight watch as well. I can wear it for quite a substantial amount of time, and then even longer on a different strap. Like I said, this one is just, it's not all that comfortable. So taking a look again at that profile, you can see it hugs my wrist really nicely. But yeah, it's just not all that comfortable on this stock leather strap. So yeah, definitely swap it out. So what we're going to do now is take it off wrist, and then we're going to discuss one of this watch's best features. Right guys, so now we get on to this watch's probably best feature, and that is the Lume. Now Citizen Lume is very, very good. I'd say at this price point it's probably second to Seiko and probably on a par with Orient. It is really that good, and I can easily say it's maybe just about as good, but not quite as good as Seiko's Lume. The reason why I like Citizen's a little bit more is because of the colour. It's a blue, whereas Seiko and Orient tend to use green. And blue, I think, is very, very nice, and it looks awesome on this watch with the blue against the blue. Because they're two different hues, they sort of really work together, but also contrast quite nicely. It's very, very cool. So yeah, you can just see how bright this Lume gets, and it does last a long time. Especially with this being an eco drive, you have to charge it using light, so it's always got fully charged Lume, which is awesome. And it is super bright. It lasts for ages. And I've actually got a Citizen of my own. It was my first watch, and that is an eco drive as well. And the Lume puts just about everything else in my collection to shame. And it's a 10-year-old watch, and this is brand new, so the Lume is actually even better on this one. So yeah, Citizen, whatever compound you're using, keep doing it because it's awesome. So yeah, definitely a strong Lume watch. So if you love your Lume, this one will definitely please you. So now we get on to the final part, and that is the movement. So this is obviously an eco drive movement, and it is the Caliber E101. So it's a quartz based movement. It has a 180-day reserve, so that means it'll last for 180 days without seeing any light or sunlight. So you can whack it in a drawer for like over half a year and it'll still work when you take it out. That's really cool. It is a zero joule movement. It uses a capacitor to help with charging, and it uses the 295-51. It does have a low charge warning as well, which is really cool. My Citizen watch has it as well. And essentially, if your watch is running low, the second hand will actually jump to on the minute track rather than just one. So if your watch is running low, it'll skip one and hit the second one and every second one and so on. And that'll just let you know, okay, this watch needs charging. So yeah, that's a pretty cool little feature. Accuracy is very, very impressive as well. It's negative to plus 15 seconds per month, which is much better than the 20-second average for this price point. So Citizen, they really do know how to make a good eco drive movement, good solar movement, definitely better than Seiko in my opinion. I think these are the king of eco drive and solar powered movements, and this one is a very, very good one as well. I actually looked up at the price of them if you have to replace one, and they're really not cheap. So yeah, you best look after them because they cost quite a fair bit to replace. So anyway, movement is fantastic. It feels great in action. It works great, and that obviously that eco drive is just awesome. It means you don't have to replace your battery all the time every few years. It's much, much longer than that. So very, very cool. Especially if you like low maintenance watches, this is definitely right up there with those. So now we get to the verdict. What do I think of this watch? Well, currently it's priced at between £125 to £135 depending on where you pick it up from. So yeah, I think it's absolutely worth that all day of the week, to be honest. I love eco drive movement. It's hitting its markers perfectly. It's well made. The strap is a little bit of a letdown, but it makes up with that by being an absolute Lume monster. It's actually a bit of a strap monster too, as long as you've got like a colour that matches blue. So it suits loads of different styles of straps. So yeah, I would definitely say this is worth £135 all day. £125 if you can find it. then even better. But yeah, it is an absolutely cracking field watch, and I highly recommend you check one out. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads, and of course follow me on social media at Mr. Budget Watch. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.